What is going on? Welcome to Dharma Time. I'm your host, the Dharma Guy, here as always with the Dope Doctor. What's up, man?
Yep.
And you took a break from killing my horse.
Yep.
So we can have this show here.
Get out the way.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know, I'm referring to the fact that him and I played Red Dead Redemption online.
That's right.
This is his first introduction to online gaming, and the way he shows his enjoyment and excitement is to kill me and my horse. Knocked us off the cliff.
That's right. Am I officially a gamer now?
I guess so. Mind you, I've played Red Dead for, I don't know. I mean,
so did I just get smarter? Because gamers are typically
yeah,
smart
I
guys.
guess. Mind you, though, I've been playing Red Dead for I don't know how long now, like since it came out.
Yeah.
And not once have I lost a horse.
You got to get out the way.
30 minutes with you, and I lose a horse.
Get out of the way.
Just going to point that out.
You got in my way.
Anyways.
He was in my way. Tell the truth, man. You're in my way.
Today's show is about apologies.
And I'm not apologizing.
Yeah, this is what a great transition for the show.
I'm not apologizing.
This whole show is about getting you to apologize for killing me and my horse.
Absolutely not. You were in my way. You should have moved.
You're a bully, man.
Red Dead Redemption is all about
bully.
Attacking people and shooting people.
But before we get to that topic of apologies, because we couldn't do it last week because you were sick.
I was sick.
How are you feeling today?
I'm sorry.
Are you better?
I'm sorry. Sorry for being sick.
You got to apologize to the fans, man. They missed out last week. But anyways,
BJ.
Two announcements that we got to make though that we haven't made.
Okay.
Is ta-da! This is our first show, I think, after being on the air for a year for Dharma Time.
Dharma Time is 1 year old.
It was 1 year old.
1 year old Dharma Time.
1 year.
Right on. Congratulations there.
Thank you, sir. Feels good. Feels good.
That's awesome.
It feels like just like 52 weeks ago we started it.
It feels like that.
Yeah. And then the other announcement, I guess, is more of a personal note. For those of you following me on social media or know me personally, then you realize we just, my wife and I celebrate our 3-year anniversary. Happy anniversary, Angel. Thank you very much. Thank
3
you for
years.
Choosing me every day.
3
I know it's
years.
not the 30 or whatever, but we're working on it. We're getting there. You got to hit 3 before you hit 30, right?
Oh, you're talking about mine.
Yes, I'm not
just
an
add
old
a zero.
timer.
Just add a zero.
Yeah.
No, I'm at 25.
I'm not an old timer yet.
Yeah, that's right.
We're working on it, though.
You just look like one.
Exactly.
Especially on Red Dead. You're an old man.
Of course. But see, I like that. I think it's cool.
I got you.
But anyways, so I had to get those two. Thank you, Katie, for saying happy anniversary. But yeah, I want to make those two announcements. So I did. Now it's time to move on.
Right on.
All right. So the topic today, apologies.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it was our last show or the one previous that we mentioned apologies, and we said that hey, we could do a whole show on apologies.
Right.
So welcome to the show on apologies. What originally
that's your intro?
That was my intro. I worked very hard on that.
All right.
But I think that there's some stuff that's happening that I definitely want to talk about, and some nuances of apologies that I think need to be mentioned.
Right.
However, I do believe we need to at least address the elephant in the room, if you will. The reason why kind of you even brought it up to me and said, hey, we should do apologies as well, was the Kevin Hart thing.
Right.
I think that's a good segue into our topic today.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, and I don't know all of the details,
right.
I just know that Kevin Hart was supposed to host the Oscars, I think, right? He was supposed to host the Oscars.
The Academy Awards.
One of those award shows.
Same thing, isn't it?
I have no clue, dude.
Yeah.
And I guess a tweet came out that he did years ago.
Yeah. And
the tweet was essentially saying that he's going to do anything and everything he can to make sure his son doesn't end up gay.
It's not just one. I mean, I guess he did a bunch of things back then. And he made, he used to use a lot of gay jokes within his routine.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Right on.
Yeah.
So essentially, he was chastised for it, I believe, back then, and he came out and apologized. And then years later, they resurfaced, as the internet usually does.
Right.
And he was chastised yet again for the things that he's already been chastised for.
Right.
And then essentially he was made to feel that he should just step down. I don't know if they asked him or if he just decided on his own, but he stepped down and said he was not going to apologize because he's already done it and he's moved on.
Right. Side
note, he did apologize again. Like he came out a second time and did. I guess his publicist probably told him, bro, you're not going to get away from this. You got to apologize again. Which I lost a little bit of respect for him, to be honest with you.
You lost respect for him?
Because
why?
he apologized the second time. I liked him when he did it for the first time because I felt like he was already in trouble for it, and he already came out and said it, and he apologized, number one. Number two, I don't know the other tweets.
Yeah, but we don't even know what backlash he's receiving either.
I don't know the other tweets, but I will say the one tweet that I heard of him saying that he was going to do everything in his power to make sure his son isn't gay.
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
by the way, that was in a routine.
That was
in a routine. That was part of his routine
Yeah.
as well. And when you're a comedian, your routine sometimes bleeds into your
Yeah.
other stuff. I mean,
Sure.
it's who you are, right?
Yeah, well, look, ask Roseanne.
Right.
But I'm not sure if I'm as offended by that.
Comedians
as
aren't allowed
other
to make
people.
jokes anymore.
No, apparently not. But anyways, so that led me, and then that's when you kind of
Right.
posed the question.
Right.
Because he was told by Don Lemon essentially. He's like, how many times do I have to apologize, or how long?
Oh, yeah.
As long as it takes.
Yeah, Don Lemon was like, is as often as you need to.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting answer. He says, Don Lemon said on CNN that you should apologize until you're no longer asked to apologize. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dang, that's
That's
pretty severe.
I don't know if I agree with that.
well, but CNN is gone off the deep end
Sure.
for a while now.
Yeah. So let's get into the apology thing, right? So how first of all, the apology is for the other person, right? In theory, it's not for me. It's for you. It's for the it's not. I'm not apologizing to myself for something I did. I'm apologizing to you. I'm trying to make you feel better, essentially.
Right.
And so I guess that is the question: is as a Buddhist, obviously, I don't think I'm responsible for your feelings.
Right.
Like I can apologize a million times, but if
Right.
you're unhappy, there's nothing I can do about that. And so that's why, to me, the whole apology thing, I think people should apologize for sure, especially if you're trying to make a relationship work, whether it be a romantic relationship, a friendship, a coworker, whatever it is. You have to acknowledge and validate the other person's hurt feelings, I guess.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, if I'm honest, I don't have a bearing on your feelings. That's on you. It's on how you take it, how you interpret it, how you sit with it.
Well, you have some influence. What are you saying? You have no influence on another person's feelings?
You shouldn't.
Well, okay, you shouldn't. But do you?
See, that's a complicated question.
You don't think that you have influence over someone else's feelings at all? You don't think if I say, good effing morning, or hey, good morning, that there's not a different response that I may generate from you?
There is, but that's on me, not on you.
Yeah, philosophically. But in reality...
Well, this is Dharma Time, so I have to come from that Buddhist philosophy.
Well, yeah, but we're not all walking around like Buddhists.
No, but the Buddhist philosophy, if you will, is my expectations are what's going to cause me disappointment, not you.
But that...
Because if I expect you to do something different, because that's what makes somebody upset,
Right.
was you didn't meet my expectations. If you come in
Part
and
of
say
it.
good effing morning, and that bothers me, it's because I was not happy with what came out of your mouth because I expected something different. That's
Right.
on me.
Right.
I expected you to live up to my expectations.
That's part of
not
it.
your job.
That's part of it.
Yeah, and so in that sense, no, I'm not responsible for your feelings. Having said that, yes, if I'm being realistic, we're not all that skillful. And so we have to understand that yes, my behavior, my attitude could influence your mood, if you will.
I guarantee it does. I mean, I guess I'm looking at all those people that think that they're just saying, the people that say, I'm just keeping it real. And they just act like jerk-offs to people and say whatever they got to say to people and then take no responsibility for pissing the world off.
Right.
Or for shrugging.
On our Facebook Live, Katie came in and says, but that is crazy. What is the point of that? People are always going to find some way to bring it back up.
Right.
That isn't fair to keep apologizing. If
Right.
he learned from his mistakes and he doesn't do it again, then what is the point?
Right.
And I think that's the valid point right there.
Yes.
In Kevin's particular situation.
Right.
That's why I was all about him being like, no, I'm not going to. I already did it. Like, let it go. It's kind of like, one of the reasons why, for instance, we had a vote here recently, and this is a little off topic, but we had a vote here recently about allowing convicted felons of nonviolent crimes to vote.
Right.
And I agree with that. Like, if you've already gone to prison, you've already been punished, why am I going to keep punishing you for the rest of your life for something that you've already gone to jail for?
Quadruple jeopardy.
Yeah, at some point, you got to, let it go and move on,
How many jeopardies?
I mean, that's what we teach our kids, right?
Yeah.
We got to teach our kids, let it go. Well,
Right.
so do we. Let it go, man.
Yeah.
For the apologies.
But I do take a responsibility in the temperament of the world around me. Like Katie was saying, there's a fine line between speaking your mind and being a jerk. Yes. I just want to make it clear that it says just because I'm responsible for how I behave or how I accept what you say, don't come at me and be a jerk either, because I'm gonna take my personal responsibility and I just may smack you around with it.
Sure.
I mean, I'm gonna feel pretty justified. I guarantee I'm gonna feel pretty justified if you
we all make up justifications.
If you came at me like like
I don't know
creeper.
if anybody out there that does something horrible to somebody else doesn't feel
Yeah,
justified
right.
at some point.
Right, but on this particular thing, like, listen, I personally think that comedians have gotten away with being jerk-offs
That's their
for
job,
a long time.
right? Like, that's their
right?
job. Is to
They've been
be-
allowed to do
Yeah.
this since the beginning of time.
They push the envelope.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any comedian out there that hasn't pushed their audience a little bit.
Yeah.
There's always an audience for a comedian. By the time we know of them, put
Well-
it this way, the good ones. Because if we know about them, that
Right.
means there's a whole group of people that like what they say.
Of course. Well, not only that, but like the greatest comedians of our time, the ones that got the biggest fanfare, if you will,
Right.
have been, offensive to some point.
Right.
I mean, you got Andrew Dice Clay, George Carlin.
Yeah.
I mean, they're huge comedians in the comedic world,
Yeah.
and they pissed off a lot of people.
Dude.
That's what made them funny.
Andrew Dice Clay wouldn't, in today's world,
Oh, he'd be
Dice wouldn't
he'd
be able to do
stoned,
not
dude.
one joke.
He would be stoned.
There's not one joke Dice can
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
today.
sure. Or George Carlin. I
Right.
I listened to one of George
forget
Carlin's
it. Yeah,
things.
George Carlin either.
Just the other day, I was listening to it, and it was hilarious.
Red Fox, Eddie Murphy,
Oh, yeah, they're gone.
Richard Pryor.
They're gone.
None of them could be comedians in
No.
today's world.
No. Even, oh gosh, I can't remember some of the old ones that got started before
No.
Pryor. I can't remember. Jackie, I think it was. Gosh, I can't remember. But
Jackie Mason?
no, I can't remember the names at the moment. There's,
He wouldn't even be able to because
Before
he
my
does a bunch of
time.
Jewish jokes, even though he's Jewish.
but there was
Can't do it.
comedians, like the Tonight Show, the Ed Sullivan Show,
No.
that were funny, that
Right.
were like pushing the boundaries.
Right.
They were pushing the boundaries in the 50s. And then there was a period of time where they were accepted, but we're back to now where they wouldn't be accepted
Dude,
again.
comedians just aren't allowed to be.
No.
And here's the thing: Hollywood is kind of like imploding on itself, to be honest with you, because they're doing this to themselves.
Sure.
We all have joked for a long time that PC is getting out of control. Even comedians were joking that PC world is getting out of control. But they're buying into it for one and one reason only: hate towards Trump. This hate towards Trump has allowed PC to come back up and somehow be used as a tool again.
Maybe.
You don't think it has anything to do with Trump?
No, I don't think the world revolves around him.
Oh, no, the world does revolve around Trump right now. Oh, come on.
I'm not saying there's people
Come on,
don't like
CNN
him.
doesn't talk about anything else other than Trump.
Sure, but we're not talking about just CNN.
Dude, we had a rapist go to jail. We had Cosby
Right.
convicted and go to jail, and there was more talk about Trump that whole day instead of Bill Cosby.
Sure. But staying on topic, because if we start going politics, it's going to go elsewhere.
I'm just saying that's why this apologies is going crazy. That's
Well,
why Kevin
here's
Hart
my question,
we can't
though,
even
right?
have him in the Academy Awards.
I think here's a major question I think everybody has, right?
Right.
In their daily lives, not necessarily in politicals or in the public sphere, but just in our daily lives. I think the thing that I hear a lot, and I've probably been through it myself in my personal relationships with people, is where is that line drawn, right? And I think that's something we need to at least give our input on to clarify our stance, if you will.
Okay.
Where's that line of, do I apologize for something that I didn't feel I did anything wrong just because you're upset? Because I think there's a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people feel that they're justified in what they said or did. And I'm not talking about like, you slapped your neck, you slapped.
Right.
I'm talking about maybe I said something, maybe I did something that offended you, but it was never intended to offend you. I was just living my life, whatever, and you're offended. Should I have to apologize for that? Because I think that's a big question a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And once again, I don't mean like I killed your cat.
Yeah.
You should apologize for that, bro. But I mean, like if I don't know, maybe I said something that you interpreted wrong, or maybe I said, I don't know, like I spoke louder than you thought I should, and you got offended because you thought I was yelling at you. Should I apologize?
Right.
Things that you might view as silly, that person feels is serious. Should you apologize for those?
Yeah, I think apologies is an interesting thing. I'm glad we're talking about it. I think.
Why, thank you.
I think when you say something and it hurts somebody else,
Right.
I think you have at least, I guess what do you call it, a duty
Right.
to at least
You said duty.
a duty. I did say duty. See, stop playing video games. Now you're going to go to third grade now.
That's right, man.
But you have an obligation to at least explain that there was no harm intent there.
Right.
What I take issue with, like on this Kevin Hart deal,
Right.
that type of apology is that it was done. I don't think he's really sorry, and I don't think he needs to really be sorry. I think what you need to say is, "I've grown from that," which he did say. He says, "I've grown from that day." So that day, that was funny to me. That was funny to me, and that was funny to my audience.
Right.
I've now grown since then. I'm a lot older now, and I don't find those same things funny. So now I've taken that out of my routine. I think that is what they should have highlighted. I think that's what the other side should have highlighted rather than he's not apologizing. They should have said, here's an example where you're allowed, that we're a very forgiving world.
Yeah.
Let's show the world that we're actually tolerant and forgiving. But instead of being tolerant and forgiving, they're showing that, no, we're just going to stay bitter and we're going to prove a point.
Right.
And I think that's where it went wrong. And so I think at that point in time, on Kevin Hart's part, yes, he should apologize again because it doesn't hurt you to say, I'm sorry that you're just now hearing this.
Right.
By the way, I'm going to repost my apology, so I don't have to keep saying it, but I'm going to repost what I did before,
Right.
just so you know that I've already done that. And then still pull out. And then still say, I don't think Hollywood is for me right now. Or I don't think the Academy Awards is for me. If this is where you guys want to go with it, and that's what you guys, then I'm going to pull out. I like that he pulled out. I think he's better than the Academy Awards. I think he's bigger than the Academy Awards. And I think that if every comedian had to come out and apologize for saying something insensitive to a certain group of people, I don't care what group it is, then that's a very slippery slope. We're going in a bad direction. And then pretty soon, nothing can be done. And Saturday Night Live is allowed to make fun of everybody.
Yeah.
And nobody's done anything to them.
Well, the other interesting point, right? Because
Bitter Betty, that's right.
I've had the experience of being around some people in my life.
Yeah.
Not necessarily currently, but I've interacted with them.
Right.
That they seem to just be way too sensitive. And so for those individuals, whether right or wrong, and this is pre-Dharma Guy days. This is just my whatever days.
Yeah.
I lived my life under the whole get over it. Like, are you serious? If I felt that I it was just a different perspective, a different point of view, I was never going to apologize for that. Because I'm not going to apologize because I have a different point of view and you don't like my point of view. Because there's some people that they seem like they're offended by everything. Right. And so for me, I have my own kind of moral code. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. It's just that's where I was at in my life. It was more about what I thought was just. And if I felt that you were just too sensitive, then too bad. Get over it. And then, I don't really care if I'm friends with you. Right. And to be honest with you, you're probably not going to be a good friend of mine if you're that sensitive because I'm going to offend you. Right. To whereas where I'm at in my life now, with a more spiritual perspective, yes, I agree. I operate under the guise of it doesn't really hurt me to be like, I'm sorry. Because I truly am genuinely sorry if I've offended you. Correct. I'm not saying I'm going to change my behavior because I'm not apologizing for my behavior. I'm apologizing that you interpreted my behavior as something against you. That's what I'm apologizing for, if that makes sense. Like, I won't give a back. Is that
a backhanded one?
I won't give a backhanded one.
That sounds
saying,
like a backhanded one.
Well, I won't give a backhanded one saying, I'm sorry you were offended. No, I'm genuinely sorry I offended you. That wasn't my intent. But that doesn't mean I'm going to change the way I run my life. Right? And that would be the backhanded apology. Right. Because I think that's where the whole sincerity is judged. Right? Like, because I say it to my kids all the time. Right? If something happens between them, I'm, hey, tell your brother sorry. Right. Sorry. No. Say it like you mean it. Like, yeah. I'm sorry. I think we get it because you brought up an interesting point too, and that is, I don't care, especially if you're a public figure. I don't care if you apologize, because I don't believe you anyways. Yeah, I don't think you're sorry you did it. I think you're sorry you got caught.
I don't think people that publicly ask people to apologize care about the apology.
They don't.
I think, and if they say they care about it, I think they're just full of crap. Yeah. I think that once you've done something wrong and the public opinion is going, you should apologize, they're not really wanting an apology. No. They're just going to shame you on and on. So you might as well just apologize and then move on your day. Yeah. You say it and then just move on and just let it blow over. But, day-to-day people,
yes.
Like, I think you're exactly correct. I think you make your apology. I don't think you have to go too deep into that it's about, I'm sorry that you're offended or I'm sorry that, but you do at least explain, hey, your intent. Just explain your intent. Yeah. And if your intent was misinterpreted, you apologize for not being clearer, more clear.
Exactly.
Instead of saying, I'm sorry, you got it wrong. Exactly. Just say, I apologize that I didn't make myself completely clear because if you heard that, then I might have said it that way. So let me re-explain. And then you re-explain. If they're still offended, then there's
sorry. Now, you just want to be offended.
I've already maximized my maturity level. I mean, I can't go past that.
And that's the point, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
That meter is gone.
I think there's nothing wrong with that because for some reason, sticking sort of with this topic, but slightly off topic. Right. I think that's one of the issues in today's world that I try to explain to my kids, and some are easier to get it than others. It's okay that you're offended. Yeah. Like, the world doesn't have to stop
Right.
because you got to somehow, I don't know when.
We have to teach that.
But somehow it happened to where being offended
Right.
was like the worst thing ever,
Right.
and it had to come to an end. No, you're allowed to be offended.
Yeah.
Just like other people are allowed to be jerks.
Yeah.
Like, there's no law against being a jerk.
Right.
Now, but there's also no law against being offended. So if you want to be offended, by all means, but just don't hang out with that person. Like, if you're not a Kevin Hart fan and you don't like what he says, you know the best thing you could do, stop following him.
Right.
Like, all right,
That's it.
There's plenty of people like there's like Justin Bieber.
Right.
I can't stand Justin Bieber. I don't know him personally, but his music, things of that nature, it's just I don't know. And some of his behavior when he had money, like whatever, dude. You're just like an adolescent punk, which is fine. He's
with millions of dollars, which is why he was
exactly,
adolescent punk.
which is exactly, which is why I don't mind.
Yeah.
But the way I show my displeasure, I just don't buy his music.
Right.
If I see him, whatever. I'll switch.
He's probably
channel.
very disappointed because of that.
Exactly. He doesn't care. He cares probably as much as I care about him. Is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Right. So, in other words, I don't like some of his behavior. I don't go on this crusade saying he's got to change his behavior. Instead, I just flip the channel.
Yeah.
You know, like he owes me nothing.
And there's another guy that shouldn't have to apologize for anything.
No, he's just living his life.
Yeah.
It's not his fault that your kids are looking up to him.
Right.
You need to have that conversation with your kids.
Right.
It's not his job to apologize for living his life. We all made dumb decisions, and I guarantee you, if I was his age with millions of dollars, I probably would have made some dumber decisions than I already did. I'm no better than he is. But once again, I show it's okay that I don't agree with his lifestyle choices. I just turn the channel.
Well, you make a point. So let's go further with that point. Do you think Roseanne would still have her show today if she would have apologized?
Yes.
You really do?
Yeah. If she would have came out because she came out shortly afterwards and tried to apologize. But I think that it was an overreaction on the part of, what was it, ABC, I think it was. I think ABC was terrified, and so they overreacted. But do I think if she would have, I think she came out and said, what was it? What was it?
Well, they said it was a racist comment. Yeah. But actually, it was a you kind of look like this.
Yeah.
So I said it comment.
Oh no, everything's racist these days, though.
You know, I mean, look, we've called people Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, right? Some people do look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, or some people do look like Mr. Clean.
Yeah.
Are you not allowed to look like what she said? Is that a
not in today's world, no.
Okay, so the point is that I don't think she should have apologized. I'm glad she didn't really full force apologize.
Oh, I'm glad
but
too.
Unfortunately, I think again, free speech does not exist anymore.
To be honest with you, the people I'm disappointed in is the network. I'm not disappointed in Roseanne.
A network that fights for free speech.
I'm not disappointed.
All these networks fight for free speech.
I'm not disappointed in Roseanne at all.
Right.
In a weird kind of way, I'm not really disappointed at the people that were outraged by it either. No. I'm disappointed in the network because I was hoping the network would approach it from a much more mature standpoint.
I'm disappointed in all the comedians that didn't back her up, by the way.
Yeah, that too.
Because every single one of those comedians have made jokes about somebody looking like something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, part of humor is taking something that you kind of see, but somebody has the guts enough to say it.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And don't tell me you can't look at that lady and not see exactly what reference she made. And I'm not racist. Yeah. So, but I saw exactly what they were saying.
Of course.
I mean, you could see what she was saying.
Yeah, but
and the fact that you can look at that and go, I don't see that at all. That's right. If you don't see it, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to your damn self.
Yeah.
Because when they put the two pictures side by side, brother, you can see the damn thing. I mean, come on, man.
I just think that.
How do you think I got a nickname Frog a long time ago? Because I look like a damn frog. You know what I mean? What? It's anti-Mexican to say I look like a frog?
I just think that
Please.
I don't like the culture we're in though now, where like you got to walk on eggshells around everybody, and you're expected to apologize for everything.
I'm not doing.
And so to me, I think that's what blurs the line between what apologies don't mean what they used to mean anymore, right? Because you have to apologize for everything now. I sneezed, I got to apologize to everybody now. I burped, now I got to apologize to the world because somebody's offended by that. I think it's kind of diluting what an apology meant. It should be more of a heartfelt thing.
So when you teach your kids to apologize, when you tell Trinity, apologize to your sister, what is the lesson that you're trying to get there?
Like for instance, excuse me,
because he doesn't really mean it. He's just saying, "I'm sorry." So what are you trying to get?
I make him go through the act, and then I explain to him why I made him do it. Right. So for instance, the one that they have to apologize all the time is hurting each other.
Okay.
In other words, one of them they'll get involved in horseplay and hurt one another, and I tell them to apologize, and their reaction to me was, "I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't mean to."
Right.
And I say to them, "It doesn't matter if you meant to. You still hurt that person. Like whether you intended on that or not. I'm not raising you to be an asshole." right? And an asshole, somebody hurts somebody's feelings and doesn't really care about it afterwards. So the lesson there is you have to be aware of how your actions impact the people around you. You're not an island. And that, to me, I think there's certain things, like a moral code, if you will, certain things to apologize for. If I'm walking through a store, I'm a big dude, I take up a lot of space, and I don't always see everybody around me. If I come around a corner and I accidentally bump into somebody, I didn't do it on purpose. And in all reality, nothing happened that was wrong. I accidentally bumped into him. In theory, we could just both walk our separate ways and nothing ever happened. Who gives a shit?
Right.
However, I'll apologize. My bad, bro. Because I don't want him to misinterpret and think I'm just being this bullheaded person just storming through and bumping into people. I apologize because I impacted his day in a way that I didn't intend to.
Right.
So, you know what? My bad, man. I didn't mean to do that. And I move on with my day.
Right.
Having said that, if he catches an attitude, okay, well, then screw you, bro.
Right.
And so that's the lesson, trying to get them to apologize.
Right.
Is just to understand that you're not an island. In the same way, and that's, if you're trying to have relationships with people, be it a romantic relationship, be it a friendship, a coworker, or whatever it is, just a simple apology, like you said, clear it up an intent. That's all you need, man.
That's it. Just clarify your intent.
It'll stop. It stops so much with just the simple words, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that."
Right.
You'd be amazed by there's a situation.
It doesn't hurt.
No.
To apologize.
But the point is, there's a situation just happened recently in my little circle, right? Thankfully, it was nothing to do with me.
Okay.
Something happened, and I won't go into detail, but something happened that got blown completely out of proportion and affected a lot of people, and it's still ongoing, that I think could have completely been prevented had one or two of the parties involved just been like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. I think it all would have been stopped.
Right.
But because it didn't, now everybody's drawing lines in the sand, and it's becoming this big thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's, to me, that's the moral of the story, is stop it from becoming a big thing. If it's just a simple, my bad, is all that's needed, like you said, to clear up intent.
Right.
Because that's the thing that I think that once again, we've talked about this numerous times on other shows, it's perspective. We go through the world thinking everybody has our perspective, and they just don't.
Or should
have our,
which is even worse.
Yeah. I'm not in your world. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what could have been going through your head. and that's okay. You're just as much right to be wrong as I do. And so I think that's a mistake we all make, is this is what I intended. It's ridiculous that you're upset by that.
Right.
No, it should be, I don't know what, my bad. Holy cow. Like you said, intent. I totally didn't mean for it to come off that way. I'm so sorry if I did or said something that triggered that intent in your head. Whoa, my bad. I totally don't want you to think that way. Right. There's nothing wrong with that.
But that's what I'm thinking. In a case like these comedians, some of the comedians that have done something and then been asked to apologize, I think people do that all the time. They're joking.
Right.
Right? So I think you should, the clarification there may be, I apologize. I tried to make an attempt at humor, and it just didn't play out well. I apologize that my humor offended you.
Well,
I thought I was being funny, and
but even then,
I was offensive. So it's okay to say, I thought I was being funny, and then just move on. Now this is probably, like you. I like what you said early on, where you said there's probably just not somebody you're going to hang out with.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be friends with everybody.
Yeah, dude. There's a whole population of people out there that I offend every day, and that's okay because I'm not trying to hang out with them.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I may even do well with them professionally. I may even do well helping them out of a problem, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be friends with them. They're not coming over to my house.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's okay.
Because then I'm really going to offend.
But you brought up an interesting point that philosophically I'm curious about, though, and that is you mentioned the comedians, right?
Yeah.
About apologizing because they made a joke, but should they? Because there's I'll use which I think is crazy to me. I don't know if you watched the Tosh.0 show at all.
No.
He does video clips from the internet, and he makes jokes about them, whatever. But all of his jokes are very, very either racist or homophobic, whatever.
Right.
He's hilarious to me, but he's very not PC, right? He gets away with it, and he's on semi-network. He's not on ABC. He's on Comedy Central, so it's still cable, but it's one of those cable packages everybody has, so might as well be basic. He gets away with it.
Yeah.
He never apologized. He even had one show, actually, where he, quote-unquote, joked about rape, I think.
Right.
And the whole audience laughed, except for one girl got upset because she said you were making, it's a serious thing or whatever. And he said another comment back to her that was even more ruthless.
Right.
and it was all over the paper. He never apologized for anything. This is who I am, man. Get
I don't
over
think
it.
they should.
And that's my thing is yeah, it offended some of you. Like, I don't like the idea of saying, hey, I tried to make a joke. No, to you. What about the millions of people that did laugh?
Right. Exactly. If you're doing it within your character, and listen, I know it's a slippery slope, and I know that people defend, use that as a defense.
Sure.
I'm an entertainer.
Yeah.
I get that. But most of the time, it really is for the art or for the entertainment or for the dollars or for the audience that they think they have.
Character.
Whatever it is. Howard Stern, I don't think has ever apologized, nor should
No.
he. And that dude offends everybody.
And that's how he became famous, was being a dick.
Yeah. So I think, we need to realize, and then that there's a whole segment of society that's not you, that's understand, that sees the humor behind it. In other words, Howard Stern's not racist, yet he does tons of racially things. And in the past, dude, he has said some things that you would think, when he does that voice, like whenever he imitates a black guy, he goes, "Oh there, hello there." He does that. He does a voice that's like 1920s. What his image in his head of what a black man sounds like. He's done blackface on television. He used
to have a thing
Ted
called
Danson
midget
did blackface. Listen,
he tossed midgets, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you can't even say the word midgets. I don't think, right? Little people. But the point is that see, now you're offending people, and you're the Dharma guy.
We'll be all right.
It's going to happen. The point is, people, why are we not teaching our kids to be thicker skinned and more tolerant of others, and allow people to be ignorant, allow them to say things that are hurtful and offensive, but take ownership of your feelings? In other words, you are right, you are correct. Philosophically, I'm in control of my feelings and thoughts and all that.
Yes.
But instead of teaching the world on how to defend such infractions and be stronger emotionally and be more able to control your own emotions, we are going in the opposite direction and trying to change everything around us to baby-proof the world.
We're going into this
That's the wrong direction.
Yeah, we've gotten to this whole I'm offended, you got to change your mind thing.
Yes.
And no, I don't agree with that. Number one. Number two, it's never going to happen. Like, in certain circles, it is sort of happening, but in the grant, it's never going to happen.
But that's why you cannot separate it from today's presidency, because what they're using that as a flagship, and I'm telling you, it only appears worse and all around us right now because the hate for this individual has allowed an entire side to voice an opinion and get people to actually believe in it when nobody really believes in it. Trust me, you people that are attacking Kevin Hart, that have attacked Kevin Hart, that have attacked Roseanne, you really don't believe what you're saying. You do believe in free speech, but now you don't because you're united for hate for one person. You do believe in forgiveness, but right now you don't because you're united in hate for a person. You do believe that people can change and evolve and all that, but right now, and you do believe in tolerance, but not because you're united behind a hate for one man right now. And you got to get over that.
A lot of them are tolerant just if you feel the same way they feel.
Yeah, but I really do believe that this bullying thing, it's almost like if Trump reminds me of a person that is not really in the middle of the circle getting his butt kicked, but if you'd watch all the channels, you would believe that this guy is getting his butt kicked by everybody, but he's still beating you guys. He's still kicking your butt.
Right.
Yet everybody's kind of kicking and going, it's okay to make fun, huh? It's okay to call him orange. It's okay to make fun of his wife for having an accent. It's okay for making fun of his wife, who is an immigrant. It's all these things that get said, and people believe it. If you would ask the normal person on the street right now questions, they would all say things that are just not real. And I think behind that is the Kevin Hart, is the Roseanne, is all these little things are just getting out of control. So now you, the Dharma guy, has to get on and tell people what an apology really is, what it's supposed to really mean, and is it even worth apologizing?
Right.
If you don't believe that you're really sorry, Trinity.
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, I mean, how do you judge sincerity anyway?
But that's what I'm saying. If you don't believe you're really sorry, because what you said had meaning or had validity or had its place in society, do you apologize?
I think whether you should or should not apologize is it's a personal choice, right? I think that being the fact that I myself am big on principles, regardless of my spirituality or not, I'm big on principles. And so I think that I can't fault somebody for apologizing or not apologizing if they are comfortable with the principle that they're going for and they're okay with the consequences that follow thereof, right? In other words, if Kevin Hart decided he didn't want to apologize for any of that stuff
Right.
because he feels that he already did. He's grown from it,
Right.
and he just shouldn't have to do that anymore.
Right.
And that's how he feels. I can't fault. I can respect the fact that that's his stance in life, but I also have to. He then has to also accept the fact that you could lose some jobs in the future because of it.
That's it.
As long as you're okay
Take the
with
hit.
that, then okay. Which is what I was saying before about there's certain groups of people I'm just not going to be friends with,
Right.
and I have to accept that. In other words, the way I conduct myself, some of my personal belief systems are going to offend some people.
Yeah.
And I'm not out to offend them, but just my mere existence offends them because of the things that I think sometimes. I have to be okay with the fact of I'm entitled to think and feel the way I feel, and they're entitled to hate me, essentially, and never be my friend. I'm okay with that.
Right.
Now, if I wasn't okay with that, then I'd have to apologize and kind of make an amends.
Right.
But I'm okay that there's certain groups of people that just aren't going to be my friends, essentially. And so to me, that right there is what has to go into your decision to apologize or not, is what the principle is, and are you okay with either outcome?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not okay with the other outcome, then you're going to have to suck it up and do what you need to do.
And people may not accept your apology.
That too. And that's up to them. That's the other thing we see a lot in, I see a lot, I know you do as well. We're both involved heavily in addiction.
Right.
And one of the things is you have to make amends.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've heard so many times from clients and stuff that have come to us, about them making amends is they're worried about the response of the person they hurt.
Right.
And not always, but a lot of the times, the person who got hurt's response is basically, kiss off, man. Like, whatever. You hurt me, blah, blah, blah.
That happened to me.
And so the offender, if you will, in this case the addict, it hurts them because they think giving amends means that you have to do it until the person accepts it. And I have to explain to them they're on their own timeline. Like, they're healing as well. And just because you apologize doesn't mean they have to accept it, and you have to be okay with that. They might not accept it. They might feel so hurt and so justified in their hurt that they're just going to be bitter and angry. And you know what? Regardless of if we agree or disagree on that's how to live your life, they're allowed to be bitter and angry. That's them. That's their own relationship to that. You did your part by acknowledging the hurt you imposed on somebody else. You've modified your behavior and you moved on. It's up to them now to decide how they respond to things. I'm in control of what I say and do, not your reaction thereof.
Right. And I think, well, I know that's why it's not step one.
Yeah.
And I know that's why you have a sponsor to help you. Like in the recovery world, don't go make the problem with people that have an issue with that particular making amends part and then not liking the response they get is because they're doing it too early in their recovery. They're doing it without a sponsor and they're doing it out of order.
Yeah.
If you did it in order and you do it when you're going to do it and you do it with the guidance of a sponsor, trust me, you'll be able to deal with it. I did to a teacher, man. I went back to my high school. And there was this teacher that I was just a jerk off to this teacher.
Right.
The things that I did, I'm not even going to go into it.
Right.
But I was bad. I went back. I made my apology. I made my amends because I was going through El Paso on my way here to Florida when I moved here.
Right.
She says, "Are you done?" I said,
"Oh, wow."
And I was like,
"That's not going to end well."
Yeah. She goes, "You have anything else to say?" And like the whole class is there. Her whole class is there. I'm talking to her like during a class. I'm sitting right next to her. It was a theater class. And I said, "Well, I just wanted to tell you, I'm sorry." And she goes, "You said it. Goodbye." And I remember leaving going,
wow,
God, man, I'm really proud of myself for not saying it again. Because I was about to say,
right.
F you, man. But I understood, wow, that's how much I hurt this person.
Yeah.
Good, because now this person can move on thinking, I got him. But at the same time, good for me because I didn't react, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to make my amends, and that was it. I didn't expect anything because that was what I was taught, was don't expect anything in return. So, again, the point is,
well, like, here's the thing.
Apologize, don't expect something.
Well, and okay, so when I was younger, I was not always the zenful spiritual person you see in front of you. Right. I was a very angry, bitter kid.
Right.
Especially like elementary and early middle school. Like I was in fights, and I bullied some people. I was a bad kid. My mom sent me away. That's how bad I was. And so as I was getting older, I would be reunited with some of these people that I dealt with when I was in elementary and middle school.
Right.
Some of these people I scarred. Like some of them are hurt today and dealing with issues because of stuff I did to them.
Yeah.
And
you should apologize.
Well, I did, right? So at first I didn't want to apologize to people because I felt justified in a sense of, this is how I explained it myself before I got into spirituality, if you will, is I was having problems.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to apologize for unskillfully handling things that were thrust upon me as a kid.
Right.
Like, I didn't know any better. You know, I'm 8, 9 years old, and all I've seen in my life is violence and abuse, and nobody kind of came to my aid and helped me learn how to cope with those things. So I did the best I know how.
Right.
And I lashed out to people. I was mean. I was aggressive. But my intent wasn't to hurt anybody. My intent was, I'm a kid. I got a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. I don't know what to do with it. Right? So I'm not going to apologize for being guilty of not knowing what I didn't know.
Well, your intent was to hurt them, but it was to hurt them to make yourself feel better.
Yeah,
Right.
It wasn't a personal thing.
Right. It wasn't to scar them for life.
Yeah. So my point was, that was my justification for not saying I'm sorry.
Right.
And while I can understand still that mentality, it was overlooking one very important thing: is it hurt them.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Right.
And so there was a few of them that I did interact with that I did say, you know what, I don't want to bring it all up. I'm not going to dredge it all back up, but I just want to let you know, man, I'm truly sorry. Like,
Right.
I was young, I was stupid, I didn't know what I was doing, I had a lot of pain, and I'm sorry. Like, I never meant to do that to you. And I did that because, once again, it's for them. It's
Right.
not for me. Like, I've already moved on from that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I've had to address who I used to be before I can move into who I am now. And so while addressing those things, I wrap my head around the hurt that little boy went through that caused pain for the adult me and everybody else around me.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to address what happened to them. Like, I had to, and so for me, it wasn't for me, it was for them.
Right.
It was, I don't know what they were walking around with. I don't know how it's affected them. I know how the stuff that happened to me younger affected me as an adult. So there was a part of me that was like, what if I did that to them? Like,
Right.
what if the stuff I did to them when we were in elementary and stuff, the fights that we got into, the bullying that I did, what if they're like 23, 40, or 23, 34, whatever, years old, and it's affecting them to this day?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that. That's horrible. Like, I know how I felt, how hard it was for me to get over things. So that's why I was like, yo, I'm truly sorry. Like, because I know what it would have meant to me had the offender in my life, which was my father, would come to me and be like, you know what, I'm genuinely sorry, dude. I was going through a lot of stuff. I was a bad place. It wouldn't fix everything, but it would give me a sense of closure. Like, wow,
Right.
This person knew what happened and knew how they hurt me, and they still apologized. So that's why I did it.
Right.
I didn't actively seek out everybody that I know that I
Right.
hurt, but when I crossed their paths, I did once say, hey, let me talk to you for a second. I just want to let you know, man, I'm really sorry, dude. And then I moved on, and that was it. I never addressed it again, and I won't in the future. I did it, I moved on, and that's it. If you can't let that go, if you can't deal with it, that's on you and your therapist. Like, that's not my role. My role is not to fix your problems anymore. It wasn't my role to give you problems, which is why I apologize for it. But in order for me to move on and be productive in my life, I've got to learn how to let things go and let it be where it is. And so that's why I don't address it on a continuous basis, basically.
Right.
But I did say I'm sorry.
I do think it's okay to apologize multiple times.
It is.
I do think.
It's just a personal choice for me.
Yeah, no, I got it. But I think that it's okay to apologize multiple times because some things are just that severe.
Yeah.
I think
I
sometimes
agree.
the scarring is that severe. I think also I think that sometimes I've apologized for myself.
What do you mean?
I've apologized, for the other person, but I've apologized more for me. In other words, I've gained a lot of benefit from apologizing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would agree with that.
By apologizing
For
to
sure.
somebody, to me, it's a way of acknowledging that I may do some injurious things that are not meant.
Right.
That I've been a person at times that I'm not so proud of.
Right.
I don't want to go back and change those. You won't hear me say I wish I can go back and change that because
It's who you
my
are now.
whole world, my whole philosophy on life is existing and being comfortable with who I am today and
exactly.
and move forward, right?
I agree.
So it doesn't agree with my philosophy to say I wish I could do different.
Right.
But what does coincide with my philosophy is to say, listen, I'm apologizing to you for you. This is why I'm apologizing to you. But while I'm apologizing for me, I am gaining something out of this, just so you know, because it's important for me to learn empathy and learn how to embrace the fact that I can evolve and I can feel things about things that I've done differently than when I did it.
Right.
But to say that guy that hurt you is apologizing, that guy's not apologizing. That guy that I was fully meant it. I fully meant to hurt you. I fully meant you to feel the way you did. You're feeling exactly what I meant for you to feel then. What I didn't know is that you were going to carry it forward the way you did, and I didn't know I was actually going to feel bad about you carrying it forward the way you did. So let me give you that kind of apology, and I can do that today. And I think that's just understanding maturity, right? I mean, we mature, we think different, we grow, and therefore we adapt. And if you still feel the same way today as you did in 3rd grade or 6th grade,
wow,
then
you need some help.
Yeah,
you need to go see somebody.
Yeah, I mean that's job security for therapists. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So real quickly, let's because we didn't quite cover it, and I have it listed here as one of our lists, and that is backhanded apologies.
Okay, backhanded.
I think we need to kind of cover that just a little bit.
Yeah. Give me an example of one.
Well, an example would be like, "Oh, I'm sorry you took it that way."
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Feels
I'm sorry
like
you couldn't understand that.
Yeah. It's like
I'm sorry you're too freaking stupid to get that I just apologized to you.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
I think that's what it is.
A backhanded apology?
Is I think people need to understand if you're going to go the route of an apology, which is totally fine and recommended a lot of times, don't offend them in your apology. Right? Like you understand, if you're apologizing, it's about you. Keep it about you and your behavior. Don't keep it about their what they, because it's another one I hear a lot is, well, I'm sorry that you did this because that made me do this. Yeah. It's still blaming the other person. If you're going to apologize, guys or gals, it's got to be about you and your behavior. Yeah. It can't be about what they did to instigate it or anything to do with how you feel justified. It's really got to be a tail between the legs kind of a situation. You really got to just humble yourself and be like, you know what, I'm so sorry. Like, I really apologize. I should not have done that. Exactly. Just don't try to justify your behavior in the middle of an apology, because all it does is reoffend that person. Right. And how insincere is that? When you're like, I'm so sorry you took that wrong. Or I'm so sorry that you're so sensitive. You got to offended by it.
Or how about, listen, this is exactly why I didn't want to apologize to you in the first place. See, like that's exactly what I expect. You know what? Yeah. Why do I even apologize? Yeah. I shouldn't even apologize.
Exactly.
What about that one?
Yeah. Or they're like when they roll their eyes or something, or see. Yeah. Exactly. So, yes, I think
there's so many ways not to do it.
I agree. There's only one way to do it.
And that's what we
should
focus on.
Throw yourself at the mercy of the court and just be like, I'm sorry. And to be honest with you, if you're unsure of how to apologize correctly without offending somebody, then limit yourself to just saying the words, I'm sorry. That's it.
That's all I got.
Don't add any. If you're not skillful with the English language and you cannot, communicate your humility to this person, if you're not one of those skilled individuals, then shut up and just say, I'm sorry.
Why it's got to be English, Trinity? See, right there? You
just
offended me. Lo siento. Why can't it be lo siento?
Isn't that I feel your pain? It's not really I'm sorry either. But my point is, if you're not, an orator, just say I'm sorry. Right? That's the safest bet, right? I'm sorry.
That's it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
That's it.
My bad. There you go. Having said that, if you are skilled at language, there you go. If you're a linguist, if you're a good orator.
Ooh. These are all big words.
That's right, baby.
Wait a minute. Let me write these down. Orator.
If you are good
linguist,
at those things, then by all means, feel free to explain your intent. Right. Once again, as long as it's not offending the other person.
But then shut up. If they're not getting it, just shut up.
Shut up. Leave it alone.
If they're not getting it, just shut up. Just don't create another issue.
Yeah. Like, an apology is not meant for you to get another chance to explain to them why they're wrong. Right? And to be honest with you, if you're still feeling that they were wrong, you probably shouldn't be apologizing.
An apology is not meant for you to show that you're a bigger person either.
No.
Look, I'll be the bigger person here.
I'm sorry.
Because only I know how to apologize.
Exactly. This martyrism.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be a genuine apology, man. And we all know what that is. I think
I don't know if we do.
I would like to think
I disagree. I disagree.
Like
I do not think that people in general know, because going back to our original comments and your original explanation of teaching your kids to apologize, I think there's very little communication and teaching time spent on why we're forcing the kid to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You may be skillful and you teach your kid the explanation behind the I'm sorry. Most of us just simply say, just say you're sorry. Damn, now go.
And then we grow up thinking that solves everything. I'm sorry.
And that's it. And that's it. That you're allowed to say it. Just as long as you say it, you made me as the parent feel better. Now get the hell out of my face. I got things to do. Listen, most parenting is done on the fly, and it's done at an inconvenient time.
Yeah, right.
And damn it, we're walking into this place right now. Just say you're sorry real quick so we can walk in here and act like a happy family. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many inconvenient times.
Yeah.
And so that's when kids are learning I'm sorry. Right
Yeah.
before walking into
Yeah.
a church, right before walking into
Yeah.
a family gathering, right before someone comes over, whatever it is. Say you're sorry to your sister real quick.
I guess that's where I'm lucky in the sense that my wife says I talk too much. Like, I'm a talker, so I'm lucky in the sense of I feel the need to justify or explain
Yeah, you wanna
every
explain.
single time my kids do or say something.
Yeah.
While they probably all get annoyed by it at times.
My problem is I have peanuts in my head. Wah, wah, wah,
Yeah.
wah, 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 wah. That's what I hear.
But I get that. God, you'd be surprised how often I get that, though, right? Like, my kids are always doing something. And and it ranges, right? The three that I'm looking at the most are my 7-year-old, my 9-year-old, and my 14-year-old.
Yeah.
The three of them collectively spend a lot of time together, and they have that toxic triangle. So somebody's always upset between the three of them.
Teaching moments. I love it.
Yes, there's a lot of those in my
Yeah.
house. But my point is, I get that so many times of, hey, apologize to them, and their answer is almost always, well, it's either A, I didn't mean to, I didn't do it on purpose,
Right.
or B, well, they did this to me. Those are the two things I get the most,
Mhm.
and that's why in the teaching moments where, like, if I didn't do it on purpose, is it doesn't matter. You still hurt that person. Like, if I hit you, it doesn't matter if I did it on purpose or not. It still hurts. You're not apologizing for the hit. You're apologizing for the hurt. And then with the they did it to me first. Oh my God, I feel so dirty. I did this the other day. I swear. I
What are you
turned
about to say?
I turned into my mom, dude.
Oh, okay.
I said 2 wrongs don't make a right. Those words came out of my mouth, dude. I uttered 2 wrongs don't make a right. Because I couldn't think of anything else better to say than 2 wrongs don't make a right. It doesn't matter, like, if they did this first, whatever. Like, stop it.
Because mom was Confucius. You just didn't know.
Yeah, right? Well, whose mom didn't say that? 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Mine.
Really?
Yeah.
What would your mom say? Do it again?
Probably didn't translate.
There's an English thing again.
I don't know. All I heard is wah, 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 wah. She still does it.
There you go.
I still don't hear it. Unfortunately, Mom, I love you, but unfortunately, what happens with a kid? Kids hear wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
wah, 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 wah. I'm going to have to go scrape my head a little bit more. I'm like Scarface over
Right.
here, man. You just don't see all the damn scars.
Yeah. Yeah, I had plenty of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear those a lot.
Yeah.
And I think as adults, we kind of start to feel the same way. I think we say to ourselves, I don't want to apologize because they deserve it.
Yeah.
And the reason why you think they deserve it is because you're assuming you know that person's intent.
Yeah.
You're assuming their intent matches up with your interpretation.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that's almost always not the
Right.
case. Like, there are probably some instances where that person's just a complete dick. But I'm going to say the majority of the time, it's not the case.
Yeah.
The majority of the time, their intent is nowhere near what your interpretation of it is. Because your interpretation varies based upon your expectations and your emotional status. If you're upset, if you're already mad and angry, then anybody who walks up to you right now, you're automatically assuming their intent is bad because you're just
They're
looking
done.
for a fight.
They're done.
You're looking for somebody to unload on because you're upset. They could walk up with the greatest intentions in the world. It doesn't matter. Their fate is sealed the second they walk up to you. And so whatever your expectations are, your emotional status is going to dictate
Right.
what your interpretation of what they say is.
Yeah.
And that's on you. That's not on them.
I'm sorry, Trinity, but sometimes I just mean it.
Yeah.
I meant what I said,
You
so
killed
I'm
my
not
horse.
apologizing. I meant it.
At the time.
You were in my way? No, I didn't. That was a complete accident. But time's up, man. So go ahead and do your
Oh,
three
is it?
things.
Oh,
And
my gosh,
yeah, it's 56, man. We got 4 minutes left of the show. So
All
do
right.
what you got to do.
Let
I'm
me,
going to turn my mic off now.
Let me thank some sponsors
See ya,
real
people.
quick.
Merry Christmas.
We have some wonderful sponsors you can see over my shoulder here for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live. For those of you who are not watching, I'm going to verbalize it to you because I'm an orator. I'm a linguist. So anyways, thank you for our sponsors, Journey Pure, Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers, Orange County Drug Free Coalition, and of course, the one and only the Now Matters More Foundation. The Now Matters More Foundation, for those of you who don't know, we help individuals navigate the addiction treatment world as well as scholarship treatment, put people in there. You can donate to us at nowmattersmore.org and read about what all the things we do. Look at our website for resources. Or you can call 833-NOW-MATTERS. That's 833-NOW-MATTERS, and we will help you find the placement that you're looking for. Now, getting to our 3 things. So once again, I try to summarize every show and give you kind of what we talked about in the meat and potatoes at the end here to give you an action plan. And I did these on the fly, by the way. We normally do these ahead of time, but I realized I didn't. So the first one is apologies are for them, not for you. You're not an island. So the reason for apologies, you just always keep in mind, your apologies is for them. You hurt them whether you intended to or not. And so when you apologize, you're trying to acknowledge the fact that you're not an island and you're an imperfect person. And so sometimes, whether you mean to or not, you're going to hurt somebody else. Nobody likes to feel hurt, so that's what the apology is for, is to clear up any sort of hurt that happened there. The second one I think is important is we also have to learn to accept apologies. We have to learn when somebody does apologize, we have to realize people do change. And people do sometimes, not intend to hurt somebody. So you have to learn to accept an apology from somebody. No matter how hurt you are, if somebody apologizes, that's their way of saying, I understand, I hurt you, I'm validating, and I'm sorry. The third one is on the flip side of that, we all have to learn how to thicken our skin up just a little bit. We have to understand that we don't need to be offended by everything or outraged by everything. And if you are offended, it's okay to be offended. And it's okay for that other person to not even feel bad about being offended, because it happens. An offense is a personal thing, and you'll notice your offenses will change over time. So that would be the 3 tips. We are running out of time. So thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe. That's YouTube.com/Dharma Time. And tell your friends. I think that's it. Now that you know better, do better. Peace.
You think he plans it all out? Or just makes it up as he goes along?
Human knowledge belongs to the world.